Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Thad.
And Dan.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
You got a coffee mug with you, I see.
Yeah, I actually have real coffee this time.
Yes!
I brewed it at home.
Yeah!
I just came.
Ooh.
We're doing this at 1 p.m., so I brewed it at lunch, and then I brought it in.
The good stuff.
The real
home,
stuff.
Oh,
home
man.
brew. It's like what you see in the intro video. That's how I do it.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Good
and
job,
I see
dude.
you've got the real deal right there.
Well, I got the vineyard blend. Yep,
you got the vineyard blend. All right, now.
It works. It works. So today we have a question that we're going to answer, or attempt to answer, sent in by Eric Wilson. So Eric, thank you very much for sending this question in. The question was, what's the balance between pushing a vision forward and meeting people where they are at? It's a great question. And I think it's, there's multiple layers to this question, but essentially I think when we're talking about vision and we're talking about people and helping them move towards that, it's really a three-part thing. I mean, if you can lay out a clear, concise vision of what your group's going to be about, what you want it to look like, and where you're going as a group of people, and you can recognize where everybody is kind of currently at on that spectrum, and how close they are to that vision, you're 2/3 of the way home. And you've kind of knocked the easy parts out. The last piece is the tricky part, and that's continuing to cast a vision and continuing to try to help people move closer to that. I mean, it's not something that kind of happens overnight. I mean, it may on occasion for one or two people, but it's really more of a journey for most people. We're just saying, the vision is kind of our target, where we want to end up, what we want to look like at the end of the day. And then the rest of life and time as a small group is working our way towards that. And so that vision kind of keeps you aligned. So you're not really, I don't see it as an either or. I see it as them kind of working together. You cast that vision, you keep it in front of them, but then you also know, like, this is where my people are at. So this is where I know our next step needs to be. This is where I know we're starting from. And so I know I have a better idea of how to help them get there.
Yeah.
Dan, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Eric, first off, great question. This is a wonderful question. It's not one that's, it's generally so situational that it's really hard to get a one answer that's kind of a bridge answer that will work with everything. And second off, we just want to say, guys, we're really actually excited about, if you have questions, please ask us. We love to do more we're just answering questions. Otherwise, before you know it, we'll just be hitting the same topics all the time. So, it's one of these things where it's with each thing it's situational, and with each thing it takes a lot of discernment. Let's use an actual example though. Let's say you have a vision in your small group for everyone being able to pray for each other at the end. Everyone does kind of Holy Spirit stuff. Everyone can kind of get words, and so you take steps to give the prayer time and encourage people to pray for it and stuff like that. So that's your direction you're going. Maybe that's not all you're trying to do in your small group, but that is a facet. And then you have group members who aren't comfortable with that. You have group members that are resistant to that. You have group members that want to go there, but they're learning along the way. Well, with each person, you're going to treat that person differently. To the one that's completely resistant, that one I'm going to treat look, I'm sorry, this is just the way we're going. This is what I care about. I think this is really important. In which case, you're almost challenging them. You're saying, I'm really not going to move the focus. Yeah. You can come with us, or you kind of can't. Which honestly is actually more loving than you think, because they're not going to be happy in a group like that. If that's your plan, they're going, you're just kind of reiterating the direction they're going, and maybe they can find a group they like. But to a situation where someone who isn't ready yet, let's say they're new to the Holy Spirit stuff. To a lot of people, they've never even prayed out loud before. Yeah. So praying for someone in your group or something is a huge step. Well, you don't compromise your vision. You're clearly going to go the direction of, well, that's our goal to have everyone. But you're going to start it really slow. You're going to just say, hey, I understand where you're at. How about you don't say anything for a couple months, but you just lay hands on them like everyone else does, And then after a while, how about you just say a really short prayer over them, or you just repeat after me prayer, So, I think you really got to kind of weed out where the person's at. If they're resistant, I'm a little bit more kind of a stick to your guns guy. You know, I mean, this is the direction we're going to go. But if there's someone where they're in a process of growing, you don't compromise the vision. You just know where they're at, and you allow them to mature into it. I hope, Eric, I hope that's the question. I hope that's hitting on kind of what you're trying to go for.
So yeah, it's just a good reminder that the vision is kind of our target. That's what we're aiming for. That's what we want to see happen.
Yeah.
But in reality is, we're probably none of our groups are probably there 100%. And so as we look at each individual person, like Dan said, we're just thinking about ways to help that person take the next step towards that end result, that end goal. And I think, if we can keep vision in front of people, people will love you for it. They will follow you. They will be passionate about it.
Absolutely.
Because that's what they need, and that's what they're seeking out, and that's what they're searching for. So don't be afraid. Like Dan said, stick to that vision. You drive that vision home. Don't let it be dictated by 10 different sets of opinions.
Yeah.
You stick firm in that, and that's okay. If one or two people walk away, that's not bad. It's just that they might need something else in life right now. But the rest of your people will love you for it.
Yeah.
They will love that heart, that strong leadership, that strong direction. So great question. Like Dan said, hope we answered it for you.
Yeah.
Send us some more questions, guys. We'd love to talk about this stuff with you. And have a great afternoon. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.